Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Welcome everyone, this is Daniel Lambert, President and Founder of Plush Republic Digital Marketing. Today we're going to be going over Drift. If you haven't heard of them recently, they have been all over LinkedIn. They've done a really good job from a product marketing standpoint. The culture at the company just supersedes almost anything you can imagine based on the video content they're putting out and just their marketing strategies on point, as well as the products all around is just pretty impressive. It started out as sort of just a chat bot, and then it's managed to really scale and cannibalize a handful of other tools that might already exist in your stack, which we'll be going over. We'll talk a little bit about the different pricing tiers, what it does, what it doesn't do, who it can and can't replace, as well as the different pricing tiers that they have and how they align with your business model. So I'll be covering the free tier. I'll also be explaining what you get from their pro and their enterprise level tiers that you don't at the one that we're covering. And then I'll be creating another video to show you how to actually implement it if you want to get started. So you can see in the background here is their homepage. Again, their marketing's super clean. They do a really good job from a branding perspective. I think they are located out of Boston and just received another series of funding relatively recently. So they're really on the up and up. I'm going to go ahead and click through the price. So the thing to note about them is they definitely managed to tier off their features pretty well. They give you a freemium piece that gives you a decent taster, but not so much if you have a lot of website traffic and if you're looking for some of those more premium features. So as you'll see when we scroll here, what's the big difference between free, standard, pro, and then even for enterprises? And this is really getting into major account-based marketing, ABM, single sign-on for large organizations, high volume. This is kind of outside of the scope of this video just because it really is targeted at enterprises, and that's not so much the audience that I'm talking to, so we're going to stick to the Drift for teams here. But what ends up happening is they've broken out a bunch of their core features and then tiered them off. So the free is just your basic chat, right? I can chat with prospects. I can create a profile, which I'll go over in a little bit, but a profile is essentially as a chat agent like myself. I have my own profile that people can engage with, book time on my calendar, chat with me respectively. That will be my profile. And then you see as you go up to standard, you get custom greetings. So you can set custom greetings depending on if you know someone's coming from a particular source or you have certain things you want to say to certain pre-existing contacts. Live view of site visitors, which is really cool. This is kind of the cross between anonymous identification of traffic and being able to see who in your contact base is currently on your site, how hot they are as a lead to your business, and then interact with those people that you want to, and I guess ignore the people that you don't, as well as some advanced email sequencing, which overlaps a lot with like what a Ymail would do, what Mixmax does in terms of being able to create a series of emails to go out to certain people over the course of multiple days, and depending on if they interact with you or respond to you, they'll continue on through the flow and receive multiple emails that are automated as opposed to you having to obviously send it or schedule all of those. And then once you get up to the pro level, that's when it gets really advanced with bots that can pre-qualify your web traffic, ask them those qualifying questions that your BDRs would have to be doing otherwise, and get them into your sales pipeline faster without any human interaction or very limited human interaction, as well as pushing activity to your CRM if you use Salesforce. I think they have a couple other integrations which we'll cover. Automated meetings, so like using your bot to book those meetings for you. And as we'll come down, I'll just touch on a couple more points here. You guys can review this in your own time. It does have pay per seat with additional scaled pricing for additional seats above the 2 and 5 limit on standard and pro. This is what I was talking about with scalability. If you're pretty small, only 100 active contacts a month, which is very, very small from a chat perspective, you might be okay on free, but more likely than not, you're going to have to go into these additional tiers. This is what I was just talking about before. On the free and the standard, you don't get bots, you don't get custom branding. For some people that may be important, for some people it may not. Save replies, so if I have things that I consistently say, which you know chat agents always do, right? You get the same FAQ type questions and the same kind of canned response that you want to be spitting out. Those are very valuable, and live chats across the board. Their email, they do now, it's kind of similar to what an intercom would be doing, and from an event-based triggering perspective, maybe a little bit of like what a mix panel might do. You can do individual emails, you can do event-based emails, you can do the email sequencing like I just discussed, which is right here, and I'll show you in a little bit in terms of enrolling people so that they get multiple emails in a sequence based on an action they did or didn't take on your website. You notice in the free plan you don't get that marketing email, and how these scale on 150 per month, which is next to nothing if you have any respectable traffic, to 150 a day, which is a little bit better. As you get into the meetings, which is a really cool feature, this essentially cannibalizes the business model of a Calendly, which is really big. Their feature set is a little bit different, but it really does a good job of mimicking and essentially replacing the need for a Calendly, which I have a tutorial on my YouTube. If you have seen that or haven't seen that, it's a good comparison between the two. They've built out their meetings tool to be able to automatically have the bot book meetings for you on your calendar. You connect it through a Chrome extension and OAuthing to your Gmail account. It can see your whole Google Calendar. It can display when you have times available. You can set specific meeting types, and people can schedule it for you, or even the bot can schedule meetings, which is really, really cool. I'll show you a little bit later how you can drop it into Gmail as well. Playbooks, this is kind of the model I believe that was taken from Inside Sales, is the one to really make it popular. And Playbooks, email sequencing is a type of a playbook, but a playbook is a series of actions that you've identified that make sense from a sales prospecting perspective that should be done in a particular order depending on the prospect, where they are in the buyer cycle, what they're interested in, maybe their product line. And these are super powerful to just hammer out in automated fashion because you can test what does and doesn't work, optimize that, and make sure that those touch points are getting done in automated fashion without necessarily the need for a sales team, or a hybrid version between using your sales team, maybe setting up the playbooks and then shipping it to the prospects that they know should receive each one of those different playbooks, which we'll go over a little bit, but those are more, as you can see here, in the premium pricing models. CRM, blocking IP addresses that you know are irrelevant. That's big in terms of not wasting contacts. Live view and data enrichment. So this uses, I believe, Clearbit Reveal. If you've never used Clearbit, it takes your anonymous web traffic, it identifies them with firmographic data, and then it will spit it out. They have some pretty powerful stuff which would really parallel well with ABM to identify your anonymous visitors, and you know who your target accounts are, your tier A, tier B, tier C if you're doing an ABM playbook. Who those accounts are. So if you see them on your site, you definitely want to engage with them, and also some of those secondary accounts that maybe aren't in your target focus but you know are qualified prospects. You can pick them off and make sure that your BDRs are spending their time where it should be if they're behind this live chat, as opposed to wasting it on customers, getting all their information and realizing they're not a relevant prospect for you. So as you get up into these higher tiers, this is invaluable if you have a really solid B2B business, even in B2C in some circumstances, once you've actually gotten your contacts information. So that's a really interesting feature that they have. Their integration stack is pretty standard. The heavy hitters that you would expect from here, Slack and Vidyard, really good for internal communications and personalized video. Zapier, Segment if you have event-based analytics and you're monitoring particularly like web applications or mobile applications and events and then triggering off of those. You can also set up your drift through Segment, which is a great way to do it if you happen to be using them. HubSpot and Salesforce are two of the big ones. HubSpot, marketing automation, and Sales CRM, and then Salesforce. This is an interesting one too because HubSpot does have some competing products, almost directly competing products, honestly, with Drift in terms of their calendar scheduling. They have that, and they also have the website modals and a handful of other tools that do compete with Drift. But obviously, if you're using HubSpot CRM and you want some of this automated bot functionality, there is a significant enough draw to make you use both tools. So there will be people using both of those despite the product overlap. Reporting, depending on how in-depth you want to get. I mean, we all have so many metrics in our lives. This might be for like a sales manager to come in here and check how effective they are, but they have some pretty decent reporting and then support and all the packages. So I hope I did an in-depth cover of all the different pricing models for you guys. It is very important to understand what you do and don't get and how this might scale up with your organization. From a traffic perspective, from a user seat perspective, premium integrations, all of that good stuff. So make sure you take a look at this before considering Drift or removing your existing tools because the pricing may be different. So let's hop right into it. This is me logged into my Drift account, and it's honestly pretty basic in terms of how to set up, which is great. The user experience is pretty enjoyable. You can see the Drift button here. I'm going to move my video over to the side. We'll just run down here. This is my main dashboard with some analytics, and you can set up your dashboards here. It's not too much to look at. Conversations. So this is much like a Snap Engage, a live chat. Their layout is very similar to an intercom. This is where all of your conversations take place. You can see I've had some conversations with myself after I set this up. So people will come to your site, they'll click on the bot, they'll engage with you, and all of those conversations will come in here. This is where you would be able to tag those conversations, converse with people. Again, I'm going to move this over. Actually, I'm going to kill it just for the sake of this. And you can see chat qualified leads, which is a nice little interesting acronym they created. Everyone's talking about MQLs, SQLs, PQLs, the different QLs of the world. This is their version of that, and essentially their lead scoring. How hot is this person? Are they worth talking to and passing along to a salesperson? As we come in here, I have all the different properties that I might want to collect, title, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the tags that I might want to add, all that good stuff that you would expect out of a chat. So then here's all my messaging, tagging. I have my save replies, emojis, files and images, and this is where you would add your calendar. Obviously, I don't have the shared calendar because that's an upgraded feature, but you can then drop in your calendar right here and have them select off of it. And then you can go into reporting here. That's just a quick overview of conversations, because this should be pretty much in line with what you would expect from an existing chat provider. Next, we go into those playbooks, which I mentioned were very, very powerful. I haven't created a chat playbook only because once I click in to create it, all of these are gated premium features. But just to go through them, automated welcome messages, slider messages. So if you want people coming into particular sections of your site, you can create a slider message that will direct them to there. You say, hey, I noticed you've seen a lot of pages. Why don't you schedule a demo? Full screen takeover is that full screen mode that you would expect. If you're like an exit intent, you can pop this up and direct traffic to where you'd want. Email capture, an email referred welcome message. So if I sent an email to a prospect, they landed on the site, obviously I want to have a conversation with that person. That's where this kind of stuff comes in. So a really hefty tool set from a playbook perspective, particularly from a live chat tool. And then the pro plan, you can start creating your bots from scratch, pre-qualifying them with the questions you want, and start leading them down into the conversations that you need to have before they speak to a salesperson. And you can even lead route them based on territory or whatever else that you're looking to do within your organization. Whatever those routing criteria is, predetermine them, shoot them off to the right person. That's all able to be done within these playbooks here. Email, like I was mentioning, sales email sequences with Gmail. You hook up your Gmail through OAuth, which I'll show you where you do that, and then you download their nice little Drift Chrome extension, and this allows me to create sales sequences. I'll go into that in 1 second, but again, one-time email, triggered email, marketing drips, all of those aren't available in this, so maybe I'll cover them in a later demo when I upgrade, but you do have the ability to do some of those nice actionable emails outside of just sequences. So let me show you what this really does. I'll hop into my inbox really quick. So say I was composing a message. For those of you who aren't shortcut fiends, just hit C, and that'll start it. I'll look up a prospect, and now I'm in here. I have two things that are really nice. I have the drift tracking, so I'll be able to see who engages with my emails when I send them. But say I wanted to insert that calendar I was talking about before. I've already set this up on the back end to have my availability. All I'd have to do is just select the meeting type. I've already set up Plush Republic Meeting. I drop it in there, and then I can send this off, and people can self-select times with me on my calendar, so I don't have to go through the process of that back and forth communication trying to figure out times that work. But say that I knew this person came in from a particular source and I wanted to enroll them in that email sequence I was talking about before. You click Enroll in Sequence, and I've created this fake outbound sequence in Drift, and I'll show you these emails will go out in this order. Email 1 will go out this day, and I've set this up in the back end. It'll delay a couple days, send email 2, and delay a couple days and send email 3. I can come in here and personalize all this stuff, which is really cool. Some programs won't allow that level of personalization. But this is very, very much like a Mixmax, only it's already integrated with the other aspects of the tool, which is pretty nice. And I can send this, and it'll just go through that flow and send them all these emails without me having to remember to schedule these for later on. And I have 150 of these for the month. So that briefly covers that. I'll show you one more nice feature about the Drift Chrome extension is it brings up all the conversations that have happened throughout the day, and say I'm just like really in deep in my work, and I was like, oh, I missed those conversations. You can just click in here, and it'll bring you right back full circle into the Drift application conversations tab where you can find that actual conversation that happened. So that's pretty much the playbook section here. Contacts, again, very, very straightforward when it chooses to load. This is where you would manage. You could create your different segmentation. So if I add some filters, I can filter on like them viewing a page more than 0 times. I'll bring those people, and I can save it as a dynamic segment. This should all be very familiar if you've used chat tools in the past. But again, very, very clean UI. Accounts and live view is what I was talking about before. Super, super powerful for a little bit larger enterprises, particularly for ABM. It will use IP tracking. I would assume they're using probably Bambora or something along that lines to account for which anonymous accounts are on your site. It'll identify them, and you'll be able to pull them in and chat with them, which is a really cool feature. Oh, here you go, clear bit reveal to determine who that traffic is. And then the live view, like I mentioned before, is if I have people saved as contacts, I can see them in here, and I can say, hey, George Carter, hypothetically, is a qualified prospect. He's on my pricing page. Let me ping him real quick while he's in the buying mindset and try to book a meeting. And that pretty much covers those feature sets. Let's just quickly hop into settings before I wrap up with an overview. Your settings, you have your account, notifications, and change password, all pretty straightforward. Your profile, like I was mentioning earlier, is if I'm on a site, I'm going to pull over my website in an incognito. If I'm on my website and I see the chat, my profile would be if someone clicked to my Daniel Lambert user and wanted to schedule a meeting, chat with me. Like this would be the profile that is displayed to them. It has that I'm founder at Plush Republic, etc. So in here, you see I just set founder. You can also go in deep as to set all of your personally identifiable information, your CTAs, your personal online versus offline message, your bio. You can really get in with some pretty interesting stuff here, which I really like that they gave you this level of personalization on a per user basis. So those meetings I was showing you before, this is where you would set those up. You would connect this with your calendar, and then you can set up different meeting types. I have a Plush Republic meeting that is 30 minutes long, and within here you can set a whole bunch of criteria like locations. If you know you use maybe a Zoom or a GoToMeeting, you can, or Join Me, you can set your link in there, and then a description for what that type of meeting would be. And you can also set meeting buffers. So like if I want to like buffer 15 minutes ahead of the meeting so I can get some prep in, you can set up all of that stuff in your calendar settings. And then sequences, like I showed you from the inbox, you install the Chrome extension, you connect your Gmail, and then you can set up those different sequences even on the free plan. BCC activity to CRM, if you use Salesforce or HubSpot or any one of the various CRM systems available, most of them will have a BCC to insert name here, where you put that BCC address, and every time you send an email, it'll log those activities on those records, so you're getting accurate tracking, and then even customization of your email signature. All of this is straightforward. If I want to invite new users, their integration section, they have a really tech-heavy ABM-focused demand-based, another ABM player, full story getting to see the full user journey. They have some really good integrations, GA, Giphy, HubSpot, the big ones, Salesforce, Slack. So pretty much everything you would expect, some of them free, some of them paid. So again, go through your stack, make sure certain things can be replaced or swapped out for Drift, and that you're not having too big of a pricing gouge or gap between what you're currently spending, and that it works with all your existing integrations. For those of you who don't play around with Zapier too much, if you don't have any of the integrations on here, check out Zapier, see if you're able to use that to connect the various APIs so that you can make those tools work together, because most times that'll be able to configure at least some connection between your existing systems and Drift if your tool is not listed in this first-party integration section here. So billing is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to cover that. Chat widget, you can set up your hours and targeting, welcome, design, all that good stuff. And then if you click into the install section, it'll give you the various different ways that you can install it. JavaScript is the one that I'll be showing you in the tutorial that I create after this. WordPress, you would just download a plugin similar to almost any other thing that you would install in WordPress, and that'll be a really easy way if you're a WordPress user to get that set up. Segment, again, for the event-based analytics and all of that. If you use that as a current system, it's an extremely easy setup through Segment. I might even make a video about that if I have some time for all of my Segment users out there. And Shopify, as easy as it gets with your e-commerce store. So definitely recommend figuring out which integration makes sense with your existing technology stack and then just pursuing those through here, or you can follow up with my video for JavaScript, which I'll add in the comments section below. From here, you just set up your tags for your conversation. There's some advanced settings in here that you probably won't need to mess around with too much. And then again, the upgrade for the drift bot and the lead routing. Those are kind of more for those enterprise level or people that need that added level of sophistication and the time to dedicate to building that, but it is extremely powerful and kind of the backbone of their offering, which makes it the next level powerful beyond the tools that they already have here. So in summation, Drift is just an incredible tool, and their support team is really good. Their product vision is second to none. It can replace multiple different tools within your stack if you do it correctly. It can easily replace a Calendly, a Snap Engage, a live chat, potentially an intercom, some aspects of your marketing automation, potentially like an opt-in monk or an opt-in monster, depending on how you use those. I mean, there's a bunch of very powerful tools rolled up into one in a relatively affordable fashion here. Oh, I forgot to mention Mixmax and YesMail and all of those. So definitely take a look at your existing stack, see where the product overlap is, because I can guarantee there's some if you have a decent technology stack set up in your business. And at least give it a test. It's free, up to 150 emails, 100 contacts, all of that. So go through the motions with this, make sure that it works for you. But all in all, I guess I'd have to rank this, even just the free version, at about an 8.5 or a 9, only because I don't have access to all of the features that it has. So guys, if you need any help with implementing this or you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and comment below. And happy marketing, guys. Appreciate it.